Hello, my little ice cubes, and welcome. I'm Calla Nevermelt, everyone's favorite ice only and masochist. Now, today I'm going to do something a little different outside the norm, and that is do a video on a topic that is rather close to me, as well as a good friend of mine and several other people who are basically being told to keep your head down and shut up while I speak. Now, I just want to say, yes, this is out of the norm. I normally do streams, but I have done videos where I just talked about a topic. Case in point, I did a whole video on the first half of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, where I reviewed the characters, stands, what have you, in Stone Ocean. But again, this right here, this video is rather close. And just in case you couldn't tell by the title or the thumbnail, I'm talking about Bridget from the Guilty Gear series, who is a femboy, but people are demanding that he become a trans woman, even though he is only trans because Twitter localizers and all of them say so. Meanwhile, Japan and everywhere else, he's the exact opposite. He's a femme boy. But that being said, I want to get two things out of the way because I know there would be two types of responses in the comment section. One being the, "Oh, you're a straight person. What kind of voice do you have here?" Well, guess again. I'm not straight. I'm actually bisexual. And truthfully, I don't like this idea of telling people they don't have a voice. Like, heterosexuals have just as much of a voice as bisexuals, homosexuals, the list goes on. Everyone has a voice. Everyone deserves to be heard, and no one should be told to keep quiet. Furthermore, I really hate announcing that I'm bisexual because it's really no one's business but my own. And the issue comes with Twitter, where your sexuality has to be your personality, where I prefer to have, well, a personality. And so does my friends who also happen to be LGBT as well. But again, I digress. The second thing that I know people are going to mention is, "Oh, you're a transphobe." No, no, I'm not. I'm far from transphobic. I support the LGBT, and I would do the same thing if a company was to censor a trans person or any other LGBT member. Furthermore, my characters that I like, who just so happen to be trans, is Vivian from Thousand Year Door, or Super Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, where she is kind of a trans icon in the trans community because even though Nintendo, who I didn't like censoring, mind you, I did not appreciate that they decided to go ahead and censor her and just make her into a girl. Um, she's a trans girl who is bullied by her two sisters, and basically she kind of, comes to terms with who she is. And again, the trans community loves her. They appreciate her. Now, I'm not gonna say Nintendo was in the wrong because I don't know if they were doing it because they were afraid that Bridget would be offensive, or did they do it because different time period. Someone can do a video on that, I guess, but I digress. The second character that I want to bring up, of course, comes from Nintendo, that being Birdo, who comes from Super Mario 2, where the booklet said that he is a girl who he is a boy who thinks he is a girl. Furthermore, in that same boat, though, is Poison from the Final Fight series, who, while both of these characters are iffy at best, with Further, there's more weight behind the whole her being a trans woman. Meanwhile, when it comes to poison, it's in the bio, at least in the story mode that I've seen with her in it, it's more hint hint, nudge nudge, wink wink, and it's kind of up for debate, I guess. But either way, I still refer to them as a trans woman or trans female. Now, furthermore, we have Lily from Zombieland Saga, who is a precious, adorable 7-year-old who we must protect and must not lewd. Now, another two characters. This one is a nice little combo, and that is Magna and Tiger, who both are trans, who both are from My Hero Academia, and the only issue I have with this picture is I could have sworn Tiger was taller than, well, most of the characters. I mean, isn't Tiger supposed to be 6 feet tall or something? But I digress, though. Tiger's a trans man, and you won't find that out unless you read his bio. While Magna is a trans woman, and you won't know that unless you pay attention. The characters around her says Big Sis, and my personal favorite is when Overhaul misgenders her and Toga fact checks him. That was my favorite, one of my favorite moments with Toga because that took some serious cojones to tell a dude who can make your face explode over and over again to, check himself basically. But I digress. Again, the last character I want to mention who I like is Barney from Dead End Paranormal Park, who is a trans male. And one thing I do want to also throw out there, a honorable mention as it were, is Cucco Paru. I think that was her name. If not, I know a friend of mine will fact check me. But Cucco Peru is a real life trans woman who voices a character on the show by the name of Pauline Phoenix. And again, great person, great actress, great voice actress, and I heavily support them. Borny, again, great character, and just like with Vivian, I would be disappointed if anyone was to censor him or Tiger or Magnet or any other trans character. Because again, I support the LGBT. Hold on, let me drink some water, my mouth is dry. I do apologize, but they are trans characters and they should not be censored. I would make a video of them if someone was to, censor them because it isn't right. They are, again, a trans character and should stay as such and not change. Now, let's get on with the main topic at hand. That, of course, being Bridget. Yes, I know it took us a while to get to Bridget, but there's a few things I wanted to point out real quick to, show that A, no, I do in fact support the LGBT, so fact check yourself. But with that being said, who is Bridget? Well, Bridget comes from Guilty Gear X2, a 2002 game where he started off as a character who grew up in a village where it was said that if there was two boys born or two twin boys, they would bring a bad omen. So the parents decided to make Bridget into a girl, or rather dress him as such. And he spent the entire arcade mode basically, proving that he isn't some evil omen, that he is his birth, his existence doesn't change, who or what he is, and it's not going to bring some catastrophic effect onto his village. He literally, brings money back, everyone's happy, he proves his point, and furthermore, he does this all while accepting who he is, a cute femboy. Now, the only time his gender is ever brought up in the game is when a character asks, are you male or female? Because that is a question one would ask. And so Bridget would say, I am a male, I'm a boy. Now then, with that being said, I have other news about Bridget. But first, Bridget is also maybe the OG trap before Astafel was a thing. I'm not going to say yes, I'm not going to say no. But what I will say is he created the meme, everyone is gay for Bridget, and other memes to boot. Now, first off, I want to throw something out. The whole femboy or trap being a slur. No, it isn't. Go watch Dimitri Monroe's videos on the history of traps because he goes into detail as to where it originated from, what it means, etc. It has nothing to do with the trans community. It has only to do with anime characters and with a certain subculture who I'm about to get to momentarily. But uh, femboy and trap, again, is not a slur despite what Twitter will have you believe. It is literally a subculture in Japan. And lastly, when it comes to the whole, what word to use, never ever call a femboy or feminine man a rose boy or fairy boy. That is absolutely offensive. That is absolutely beyond words offensive. If you call a feminine man a fairy boy, it might as well go the extra mile and just say fudge pirate or any other, gay LGBT slur. Also, side note, being a femboy does not equal gay. While yes, several gay individuals and bi individuals, such as myself, like cute feminine men, real life and fiction, not everyone is legit gay for Bridget or gay for femboys. Well, with that being said, I've seen some information about Bridget that I want to bring to light. And that is the fact that apparently Bridget is a part of the otokonoko, or separately is otokonoko, but I don't know if it's separate or all in one word. However, it is trap culture. Now, what is trap culture? Well, basically, it's kind of like drag queens here in the States, but not exaggerated. The point of being a femboy or a otokonoko is to look at like a female as much as possible. Exhibit A being this right here, and there's several other examples as well, including, yes, anime, where you have characters who would fit the bill, Astafel, Hidori, Felix, and every other character. And I believe it can be a reverse thing too, where a female can dress as a male. But that is what the otokonoko is in Japan. It is trap culture. It is the same culture that Bridget here is a part of. And what makes it even more hilarious is these are the people who will sit there and talk about cultural appropriating. Which let's read this real quick though. Japan's otono or Japan's otokonoko movement and transsexuality are not the same, and rewriting a characters as transgender amounts to harmful sexual colonism in which one queer subculture erases and undermines another when they should be supporting them. Yes, all of this, yes. Instead of being at each other's throats, we should support each other. However, it seems the one side, the side that's not about femboys, mind you, is stomping on feminine men and telling them to shut up, keep quiet, while they speak up and are heard. As a matter of fact, I only seen a few videos here on YouTube talking about this. Talking about how Bridget is a femboy. And everyone else is just, especially on Twitter, is just announcing that, yay, we have a trans character, when basically you washed the character to be trans, essentially. This isn't a win for you. If anything, this is more of a steal. And another thing to also note, as this Japanese person right here posed, I think making Bridget transgender is what West would call cultural appropriating. And yes, that's what it is, because again, Bridget is a part of the otokonoko subculture, the subculture dedicated to feminine men, aka traps. And hold on again. Sorry, my mouth is dry. But he is a part of this subculture. They are taking away this culture. They are erasing this culture to insert their own. Now, mind you, these are the same people who would complain if you were to make sushi, but with a, southern twist, right? How dare you? That is cultural appropriating. Even though I'm pretty sure the Japanese wouldn't really care because, hey, you like my culture, well, cool, enjoy it, right? But these are the people who point at Latinos and Filipinos and say, you better use the word X in place of O. When yet in the Filipino culture, there's no such thing as X. You're telling people to use a word that they simply cannot. And also Latino and Filipino are gender neutral. But that's not the topic of the day here. These individuals, again, demand that the feminine men, the otokonoko, shut up or they speak and they erase this subculture to insert their beliefs. Now, one thing I want to make sure everyone to know is everyone always points at the I'm a girl line. And just like what this person here is saying, it's a playful line. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Now, yes, in the West, it is supposed to be taken seriously, but I'll get to the Western localization in a moment. In Japan, it is meant to be a playful little line. Now, one thing I have seen, because there's two paths, but again, I will get to that in a moment. No, I will get to that momentarily. I still have something else to show you guys, and that being that this right here. What's interesting is that we may be headed in the direction of separating genders between Japan and the English-speaking world. The first one of the official Japanese page, but it says I'm a boy. The second one in English it says her. Domestically, remember this, domestically, and this is an actual Japanese person talking, by the way. I used Google Translate, but whatever. She remains a male daughter. Now, going back to the otokonoko, what does it mean? Male daughter. Like, legit, it means male daughter, aka feminine men. Now, I know that they have a word for transsexuals. If I'm not mistaken, it's a new half or two-spirited, something along those lines, but it's not this. This is a femboy word, basically. It is meant for feminine males. But, as you can see, in Japan and everywhere else, Bridget is still a femboy. He's still a male. And that's not to mention all the other articles that says, but he's a boy, but the creator, he made him because he wanted him to be cute. And another fun fact, too, the creator, the OG creator, was absolutely confused as to why Bridget was a trans girl. That wasn't his idea. That wasn't his desire to see happen. But the West decided to take advantage of the language barrier, change what they want, and put in what they deemed acceptable to erase one culture and put in their own ideas. And I know what you're probably thinking, but it was supposed to be there's only one ending. First off, as you can see in Guilty Gear Strive, I in Guilty Gear Strive, as you can see right here, there's two endings. A good ending and a bad ending, essentially. Now, it's not called good or bad, it's just basically ending 1 and ending 2. In ending 2, Bridget is being called the bad ending. Bridget is being called a girl by every character, and it is stated that he basically just gives in. He gives up and says, "Yes, I'm a girl." He's no longer going to fight it. This isn't him being trans. This has nothing to do with him being trans. This has a lot to do with him just accepting what people called him, which is not a good trans rep. It's there's a word for that. I don't want to use it because it's been used negatively, but there is a word for that. And Bridget didn't come to the conclusion himself to, be a girl. He instead just gives in. Furthermore, again, this isn't I guess you could say, true ending, because the true ending right here has him going up against his opponent, and they have a heart to heart. There's no mention of trans, there's no mention of I'm a girl. If anything, this ending, the flawless ending, is where he's having a conversation with his opponent. I forgot his name, I'm sorry. But the opponent's like, hey, I'm not going to change who I am, basically, right? He's not going to change who he is. And this right here is what Bridget is like, wow, um, you're right. I too should not change who I am. This right here is something that has nothing to do with transsexuality. This has everything to do with Bridget coming to terms with his own gender, him being a cute femboy. If anything, he was inspired by his opponent, how, cool, if you will, his opponent is. Mind you, in the bad ending, Bridget just gives up and just says, sure, I am a girl, and that's that. That's not good rep, by the way. A trans character should not have basically a beat down to the point of where it's like, yeah, you know what, I'm X. I'm the opposite gender. That is horrible reputation. And sure, you could say, oh, but you're not trans. You don't have a. Guess what? I would say the same thing if a straight character was beaten into submission to be bisexual or gay or whatever. Like, that's not good representation. That's demoralizing. But Twitter is taking the one side, the bad ending, as it were, and running with that. You even have people on Twitter saying, "Oh, the creator supports, trans rights." First off, as this individual states that the creator was absolutely confused by what was going on. And also, it has been noted, like I said previously, that the creator didn't even know about the whole transsexuality thing. Like, this wasn't supposed to be, what happened. He was not supposed to be trans. And a lot of Japanese people have spoken up saying, Bridget was not supposed to be trans. Why have you made them into a trans person? Only for Twitter and everyone else to tell them to shut up and back off. But this isn't evidence. This is just you giving a person, a piece of paper to sign, and there you go. This doesn't mean anything. But one thing I do want to point out, because a lot of people will sit there and say, but the localizers, translated the character's dialogue. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You know what? You're right. It is the same thing, isn't it? I mean, localizers would never, ever in a million gajillion years change dialogue to fit their needs, their agenda. Oh, wait. They would. For those of you who don't know, there is a yaoi manga by the name of I think I turned my no well, in English it's I think I turned my best friend into a girl or woman. I forgot what it was in the Japanese, but in Japanese it's how to um crap. I know girl is in quotation. I do apologize. I know girl is in quotation. But this is a manga about a guy who gets his best friend to dress up as a cute girl and he falls in love with him. This is a gay or yaoi manga. This is a guy who falls in love with a cute femboy. But the localizers decided it would be a swell idea to turn the femboy into a trans, just like what we see here with Bridget, where the localizers have turned him into a her because of their own agenda. It has gotten to the point where the admin of the English version of the Guilty Gear wiki page has locked the Bridget page so no one may speak, no one may comment, no one may ask, no one may have a discussion. You are to shut up and accept that Bridget is female, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I'm sorry, but talk about a sore loser, am I right? Because there's no room for discussion. Because you want a one-sided argument. Just like how you want the people to hear the bad ending and say it's the same in Japan, it's the same for both endings, and Bridget is trans while ignoring the context. Again, the context being that Bridget is by all means a femboy, and in the bad end, he simply just gives up and accepts what people call him as opposed to what he sees himself as. Now, thankfully, though, when it comes to this, femboy manga, the fans spoke up to the point where the creators changed it to what it was supposed to be. Cross dressing does not equal transition. Mind you, being a femboy does not equal being a transgender. Those are two completely different things. They have nothing to do with one another. But sadly, though, I don't think we're going to be able to change Bridget here in the States unless someone knows how to mod Bridget to be, well, a male. But one thing I do want to point out is a lot of people are saying Bridget has a symbol on his head, as you can see from my screenshot of the game, the transgender symbol. Now, let's bring up the symbols for sexuality, shall we? So, Bridget's, as you can clearly see here, is the point, the arrow with the line under it, to be androgynous. The transgender symbol is right beside it. The symbol with the androgynous symbol with the arrow and the, well, female symbol, if you will, the male symbol and the female symbol together. Bridget doesn't have that. Bridget has the androgynous symbol. The are you, aren't you. Bridget is a Bridget again is supposed to be a trap, a cute femboy. But sadly, though, it doesn't matter how much evidence you have out there, the the people on Twitter will still choose to shut up. They will still say and celebrate this as a win. Exhibit A. The anime femboy community is dying. Retreat to make it die faster. How progressive. How respectful. Mind you, by the way, mind you, why is it every time there's a feminine man or a masculine woman, these people want them to transition? How are we supposed to fight the gender norms if you demand that the gender norms stay as is? You know, a boy has to be a boy and a girl has to be a girl. As soon as little Timmy picks up a My Little Pony action figure or toy, we have to, you know, say he's a girl now. As soon as little Susie picks up a Transformers toy, we have to say she's a boy now. Sorry again. But how are we going to fight the gender norms if you demand that we keep them? Now, femboys are not the only ones who are speaking out against this. There's trans people. This is one of several trans people who have said, hey, I don't really like the whole Bridget being a trans thing because it kind of comes off wrong. And rightfully so if you play the bad ending, basically. But the thing is, this person was attacked by several people in the trans community. You could see it in Hero Hayes' video, as well as these individuals threatening Japan over the whole Guilty Gear thing. Again, go watch Hero Hay. I know a lot of people don't like him for obvious reasons, but listen, the videos that he has at least did for them are from actual people who wrote in death threats to not only Japan for the whole femboy thing, but also to this person as well. Nothing but evil, bloodthirsty, you know, people. They're out for blood. They demand that trans people fall in line with their ideologies, and if anyone steps out of line, they are, you know, casted out. It's like, how dare you? How dare you not have this hive mind like us? You need to be a part of the Borg or the Cybermen. You need to be assimilated with the rest of us, essentially. But one thing I do want to throw out there, though, is you have people who, you know, this is just one of few things, and I didn't bother, get every single thing that they've written out, but it should be noted that you have femboys out there who identified as a feminine man who don't, you know, who don't apply to the gender norms, and they're being told to again keep quiet. This hurts them. Meanwhile, these people who want Bridget to be trans are laughing, mocking, threatening, and degrading them. I've seen several trans people. I've seen several femboys or feminine men talking out against this, saying, "Hey, we don't like this. This hurts." But they are told to again shut up and let me speak while you die, while you basically, suffer. As you can see from this nice person right here, right? They are proud that the West stole Bridget. And if any feminine male, femboy, what have you, or if any trans person speaks out against this whole Bridget being trans, they are attacked, they are ridiculed, they are degraded, they are humiliated, etc. You are only to call Bridget what we demand and shut up and keep your head down. Now, one thing I want to basically finish this off with, because this has been going on for long enough. But one thing I do want to throw out there, though, is first of all, these people will call Bridget as well as Astolfo unhatched eggs. Don't ever say or use that word, because that is, again, degrading. What you are saying is this feminine male or this masculine female does not have the brain capacity to understand who or what they are, and you are the wise one. You know better than they do, and you want them to transition because you want it, not because they want it. You want to, have them do as you please. Now, to finish this off, you have this post right here. Getting Bridget was a big win for the trans community, but we haven't won until we finally got our Stoffel once and for all. The only thing that's missing is them saying, "Wahahahahaha." Because again, that's what this comes off as. They're not in it for the representation. They're in it to basically get points. And go watch Dimitri Monroe's latest video on something similar to this. At the point in time, the current point in time of this video, go watch his latest video, alright? Oh, one thing I want to note is, I know I said Dimitri Monroe several times. I want it to be noted that I'm not trying to say he's the voice of the people. Far from it. He is just a regular person just like everyone else. I'm not trying to put him on any pedestal, but what I am doing is he's the voice of reason. He's the voice of logic. And his videos go into detail about this topic right here. They want Bridget, not for representation, just like they want Astolfo, not for representation, but for points. So they can be like, hey, look at me, look at my cool character. A great case in point is, again, they want to go after Astolfo, but yet they don't talk about the Saber Chevalier Dion, who is kind of in the same boat as Poison, where it's are they, aren't they? Are they trans, aren't they trans? Are they male, or are they female? What? They're not talking about her because she's not popular. She's not cool. She's not the big thing. Astolfo is popular. Astolfo is cool. Astolfo is loved by the community, and as such, they want to replace his sexuality, his gender, with theirs so they can feel popular, for they can feel cool. Now, one other thing to note I want to talk about is this character here. Now, I'm not going to say her name. Just on the one off chance that there's people in the chat out there who have only watched the manga. I mean, watched the manga. Bleh. um, who only watched the English dub of the anime. So, One Piece is at Whole Cake Island as of right now. So you don't know who this character right here is. But a lot of people, mostly grifters, are saying that she is a trans man, when she isn't. She is far from it. You see, she idolizes a certain male. She idolizes him to the point where she uses his pronouns. Not because she's trans, but because she idolizes him. It is so bad that she considers a certain other character to be her son. She will run up to him and say, blah blah, I am your father. When yet clearly not the father, not the daddy, right? But they don't care because she's the cool character. She's awesome. She's amazing. They want her to be on their side. They want her to be a point in their goal. But you know who is a trans character? This person, who is in the same arc, no less. This is a trans woman. But they're not saying anything about her. They're not talking about her, even though she's a cool character by all means. They're not talking about her because she is not her. This character is cool. Just like they're not talking about Dion because she isn't Astolfo, the popular character. Oh, and one last character to note who is a trans woman. And no, this isn't a joke. This is real. A trans woman in One Piece. Are you ready? This character right here. This character right here is a trans woman. But they're not saying anything. They're not saying a single thing. Because, well, Now, in conclusion, it clearly is the West BS with the whole localization thing, changing his gender to her to fit their narrative, to fit their ideologies, meanwhile telling everyone else to shut up, to keep quiet, to keep your voices down while they are heard. But yet in Japan, she is a part of a trap culture, which is not a slur. If anything, calling someone a fairy boy or a rose boy is a slur. But other than that, Bridget is still, to this day, a femboy. We can still dress easy. And also to note, femboys are not fetishes. Well, yes, you can see it as a fetish, but some of us, such as myself, really like feminine men, real and fiction. And if that's an issue with you, well, too bad. That's your opinion. I have a voice, and it deserves to be heard just as much as yours does. So with that out of the way, my little ice cubes, remember, it is still okay to be gay for Bridget. Bye.